thought of spirituality, to me I thought of all these beautiful enlightened people, and in next to no time I got my backside hit to the floor. Some of the stuff that I've witnessed within the spiritual community have been heartbreaking, and many times I could have walked away easily.
I also confer about that we have to be aware of vampirism, because it's like, oh, I'll take theirs because you don't think you can open for your own supply, but everybody thinks they've got to go through a process or clip on to somebody else who has that energy and try to take theirs.
It's no different to me like when you go in the army. They train you the way they want you.
Yeah.
So there's no being in the flow.
No.
It's their way, and they think that is the right way. But that's the right way for them, not necessarily. They've got people because they want to help people.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the thing about authorizing your own authority, you know, we get shoved into schools at a very early age, 7 years old, 6 years old, whatever it is.
5, isn't it?
5,
4,
I think
5,
it is.
yeah.
And nobody says to a child, you know, tell us your story. They just shove information into you. So by the time that child comes out at the other end, this thing about authority, you know, and all of these societies in above us that are holding society together, and we put them above us like these false gods, not, you know, and believing in them and voting for them and subscribing to them and upholding them, and worried if they fall to pieces, what will happen to society, where will it all go, not understanding that we are our own authority, you know, and all the great masters, the really great ones, all said that, and of course they all got crucified, because nobody wants that. Why would you want that? Why would you give power to human beings? We've had thousands of years of people going to the great wars, thousands of years of subjugation of human beings. I mean, you know, you don't have to be past 5th grade to figure that one out. Just look in your history books and then ask yourself the question, has it changed? No, it hasn't. We've got supermarkets now. Oh, well done. You know, and people smell a little better because they use deodorant. But it's the same thing. We're being cajoled and controlled by these so-called authorities. And when spirituality is the most iconoclastic, essentially, usurper of human society, because it says the power of one. Just you, the person looking right now at this, your own power. If you unleash that, if you said, I will make that the power, I will allow that to control my life, what would that mean? What
but that means going in, and sometimes that's hard. I mean, if you can, I would say, stand in a mirror, don't look at what you're looking at on the outside.
Right.
Look in a mirror and look into your eyes. That is where you see it all. And when I'll never forget the first time I ever did that, I cried. I was in pieces. I could not, the pain that I saw.
Wow.
But that enabled me to work on it. And that was no easy process. But that's what it is. This journey is beautiful, but it's not an easy one.
No.
Because it's seeing you in your raw.
Yeah.
Seeing you naked. Not on the outside, but from the inside.
Yeah.
Now, and when you truly look at yourself like that, there's nowhere to hide.
No.
So it's about marrying it up. I always say, like people say, you got the dark and the light. To me, we're moving into the grey. We're not moving into we've been through we started with light, we then moved through the dark. Yeah. We're now learning to juggle. No, it's not juggle. We're learning to live in harmony with all we are. We are all both within. We're capable of our darkest elements as well as our lightest elements. Yes. So it's about exposing all your dark areas and accepting them.
Right.
And going, that is me. But if I mix a bit of this and it can work for me.
That's right.
So when, if you think of an ego, if you've got the balance there, it can work beautifully. Yeah. But you've only got to tip that balance, and then you see it tip, 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 tip. And then you see almost an ego monster appear. that is so out of touch with who they are.
Completely.
But then you can tip the other way.
Yeah.
And then you become a shell of a person.
Yes.
Because
That's right.
you give, and you've lost you.
Yes.
So it's very much that balance of the self-love. Instead of putting other people first, you put yourself first, so that you're then working in this good place, so that you can then ripple out and cause that effect on everybody else.
That's lovely. It's so well put. The Arabs have this lovely thing when you sit in a circle, the Yemen, and they say, so tell us your story. They say, well, I don't know where to start. Well, start wherever you want. And they drink coffee, sit around, and they do this thing called jahnoon. Jahnoon is this thing when they first had it. And you eat this like a pastry, and then you take the coffee, and it expands rapidly in your stomach. So you think, oh, what the hell's that? And you can't move. And they started to laugh, because you have to sit there for hours trying to digest this, which makes you stop. So you have to say your story. And what I think is lovely is that no matter what your story is, it's find the story, find your story, and start to go, wow, that's my journey. Start to give some importance to it, some love to it, because that's what we're sharing. And that's what, when you sit and you say, well, I've done nothing. Hang on a minute. Just think about it for a second. There's a journey in order for you to get to any point in life.
Yeah.
And the fact that you don't value it, that's another thing. So to value the story, this is consciousness. This is to say, thank you for the journey. By the grace I got here. You know, if your bowels didn't work, if your digestion didn't work, you wouldn't be alive. Something's working us, keeping all the. Right now, as we're sitting here, we're just digesting lunch, and it's such a supreme system that we can sit here and talk about life, as if it's not happening to us, and it is, because I've just eaten another chocolate truffle.
What's keeping it? Your heart.
Okay. Right.
Everything. Unconditional love.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
It is, isn't it?
And to see that, you know, even if you're depressed, suddenly starts to get you out of that depression. Because you realize there's a miracle going down. And then you look at people who have problems, physical problems, they don't have that. And you go, oh, I'm so grateful. Because you were unconscious. So consciousness for me is about going, well, I wanted to do this today and I wanted to do that and I didn't quite do that, but okay, so I'm breathing. My heart's going, I can feel the blood moving around my body. Everything's working. It's actually, it's okay. It's all right. Even if I'm really depressed, I get depressed, I go to the bottom like anybody else. And the people who know me, they'll tell you. But there's that moment. Like I got my brother Dave, he's great. He's like, because I go up and down and sideways because I'm fiery. That's my nature. And he goes, I'm going through something. I go, oh God, this hadn't happened. And he goes, you want a cup of tea? And I go, oh, you and your cups of tea. And then we sit there and then suddenly I'm like, oh, I love you, Dave. Because I do, I love him. And he knows, and you need to have around you your tribe. Because your tribe will help you when you forget. None of us remember all the time. You know.
Well, it's like they're saying, when you think you've got no more to learn, you've got more to learn. Right. You should never be that naive that you think you're you know everything there is to know.
That's the biggest thing of all.
Oh, it's terrible. But I think everybody you encounter, whether it be on a spiritual level or not, everyone, there is something beautiful in every connection. In every connection, whether it be a brief conversation in a supermarket to a conversation like we're having, or in a relationship with someone, there is the beauty in all of it, because everything will ignite something within you, whether it's a healing within you, whether it's a knowledge that was deep within that conversation has just brought that back up, so that you can then go on to work with it. There's something in everything, and so at the moment I've seen a lot of like the dark night of the soul. This has been going on for years, and I look at things like that, and I struggle with the saying the dark night of the soul, because to me it's just you're going for a clearing, and it's taken so long because it keeps arising. So if you keep going through the same scenario but different people and different situations. But at the end of the day, it's still the same underlying thing. You've not learned from it.
Absolutely.
So take yourself out of it. Acknowledge it. See it for what it is.
Yes.
Don't be blindsided.
That's lovely.
Because if you're blindsided, you're going to go on and do it again. So at least, I always say, whatever you've gone through, whether it be a work, whether it be a relationship, whether it be a friendship, if something's dissolved, then step back and actually value it.
Absolutely.
You know, go, what was my part in that?
Yeah.
Never think that you didn't have a part to play in it, because every situation, there's a part to play.
Oh, yes. Absolutely. And also this dark night of the soul thing was really interesting. It's like saying, oh, well, you know, you make a big thing about the dark night of the soul. Well, anybody who's had a child loves that child. I remember my daughter, you know, and she used to have a dark night of the soul nearly every day. You know, I used to have to change her nappies. And I'd talk about her shit to other people. Say, oh, she did beautiful shit, and then they look at me like, what are you talking about?
New parents.
But you love it, you know, and it stinks and it's shit. It's nothing. It's shit. Okay, but because it's your child's, you love it.
Them unconditionally.
Now, what's interesting is that our own shit, our own mess ups, our own mistakes, we try to hide them. We flush them down the pan. But if you didn't take a shit, you know, I've been in hospital. I had my both hips done. And, you know, sometimes you can't take a shit. And there's this beautiful, I remember the first time, this beautiful nurse said, oh, don't worry, dear. And she turned me on the side, and she was so lovely. And she just puts this glove on. She goes, I'm going, oh, no. And, you know, and then I was like, for 5 minutes, I go, quick, get me a pan. And honestly, look, I mean, this is a spiritual talk. Maybe you don't talk about it. But, you know, you take a shit in a bedpan, and the place stinks, and this nurse is going, oh, well done, to me, like I'm a child, and I'm mortified, but it's brilliant, because that's the point. The point is,
you owned it.
You owned your shit.
I always say that to everyone, own it. Well, don't hide it, own it.
That's right.
Be accountable. It makes your healing process easier. And also it's a lesson. You're not going to go back there and make the same one again, because you've actually seen it for what it is and acknowledged it.
That's absolutely true. No, it's lovely, and I think that's what I'm saying, is that you don't dress it up. You don't need to dress yourself up. Just say, this is me, and you know, and come up with your radiance. And here's the point about the radiance. For me, meditation, I don't really like meditation. I prefer contemplation. To contemplate. Just to sit in the garden, or to sit anywhere I can, frankly.
Not contemplation.
Constipation. Or constipation, yeah. It's another type of contemplation. But just to catch who I am, and then to honour that, and to take that essence, and that kind of underlines the whole of the day. It's a very interesting paradigm that once you catch that and you watch it, because I kind of watch the result of it. I kind of like peripheral vision. Say, well, I got to a lovely place this morning. That's interesting that happened. That's interesting that happened. Or I didn't get to that certain place, and that kind of went sideways, and that fucked up a bit here. So it's a very interesting, self-regulating game. I'm not sure whether it's a game.
The vibration of your energy.
A vibration.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I think this is the lovely thing that we can all discover or uncover in our lives. And none of it is none of it you have to get on the internet. None of it you have to buy a course for, because it's free and it's open for all of us. You know.
It's the vibration that you set your tone to, isn't it? It's like if you get out of bed in the morning and you bash your toe on the end of the bed on the way round, you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna have a shit day now. And you've put that out there. Now, instead of bashing your toe and go, ouch. Oh well, never mind. moving on.
Right.
It's your vibration stayed the same. So it's like, when you wake up in the morning, I have this thing is, I'm going to have a great day today. Yeah. So I don't care what my day entails, but I know it's going to be good.
That's right.
So that I've set my bar already, rather than looking outside and going, oh, the weather's crap today. It's going to be a shit day today.
Right.
Because you've just put that out there. That's what you want.
You've just done it. Yeah. That's exactly
so
right.
It doesn't matter whether it's raining or it's sunshine. It's still a good day, because even if it's raining, the plants are loving it. The ground's getting the best out of it. The worms that are up in the air, so the birds can feed. So it doesn't matter what the weather is. That shouldn't, set your tone of the day. You should set your tone of the day.
I agree. No, even if it's terrible the weather, I always know that if I come into this kitchen, Dave will say, "Do you want a cup of tea?" So he's better than the weather for me. But there are people in our tribes and we need our tribe. We really need it. We need our communities. Whoever's closest to you is your tribe. Whoever's loving to you is your tribe. It doesn't matter whether you're related to them or not. And I love that. I think it's so important to say hello to the person in the shop on the street corner, have a conversation, shoot the shit, just...
You could be the only person that they've spoken to that
I know.
day.
It's a lovely
and
thing.
And that's a beautiful thing. I mean, I think some of the funny conversations I've had in a supermarket where, I was talking to a lady, I was trying to find little baby new potatoes. And I mean, I had her in stitches, because all I could find was the big ones. I went, all I want is baby ones. And even 3 aisles up, I bumped into again, and she was still chuckling about our discussion. And then when I got to the till, she ended up behind me, and she goes, "You made my day." And that was just a little conversation. But it's people walk down, head down, no eye contact. And I think in some ways it's got better. The whole world's gone through this carnage at the same time of the last 2 years. So you've gone from being locked up, when being told that you're not allowed to talk to people, so our only communication was online, which maybe allowed you to talk to other people. I mean, the conversations I now have with people all over the world is beautiful. And I mean, your soul tribe or your tribe is not standing next to you.
No.
Very rare you born into them. They're scattered everywhere for you to then find each other again.
And they were trying to isolate us, and then the opposite happened.
Yeah, and now everyone's kind of come out. But I think the ones that have suffered is probably the little ones. I've seen that within my own grandchildren. That my youngest grandson, he's 2.5, and you see it. He's within his own little bubble, because the social aspect of it he's not used to. But one thing I have noticed with him, although he's really around new people, he'll go in a complete bubble on his own and curl up and not like it. But once he comes out of that, his sole mission is to make everyone laugh no matter what, at whatever it takes. So you see the influx of energy is on all different levels. So he's been through that. In his first 2 years of his life has been isolation. But out of it, he needs to be this character that wants to make you laugh. And he'll go, if he thinks Dylan's not happy, he goes, "Dylan's not happy, I need to make him laugh." And that's what, and it doesn't matter what he does, whether he sings a bum song or Willie song, it doesn't really matter, just as long. And you see him, he lifts as you lift with his laughter. Beautiful.
And I think that's also the thing, if people have been frightened or they've been terrified by these last 2 years, there's a lot of people, there's so much fear still there. It's for us to try to dispel that. And I'm hoping that this sort of thing that we're doing now will bring a lot of people, that love and that warmth and that realization of what is important and what is not important, what to give attention to and what not to give attention to.
I think it's the whole fear stuff. I mean, I find through working on people, and people go, "If you take that away, what have I got?" Because they've had it for such a long time that they don't know how to function without it. So it's then about baby steps back into self. And it is, and I always say to everyone, it's not a journey to be rushed, and it's not something you can get there in a click of a finger. You've got to go through the crappy bits to get to the good bits, to then go back down and come back up again. It's a windy road, but with beautiful scenery if you only just stop and look.
That's right.
Yeah, and just each day, just do one little thing for self.
Yes.
And like we were saying, things moving. You think what used to take people years to get to one point, they're doing it in weeks, months.
True.
You know, what somebody would take a lifetime to do,
True.
people are doing it. And the younger generation are coming in doing it.
I agree, and yet at the same time, what I want to say is that once somebody, whatever age they are, has found a place where they go, it's good to be me. It doesn't matter how long that takes.
No.
And nobody cares. It's like, this is heaven on earth. This is what the master spoke about. And once you're there, you don't need anything.
It took me 40 odd years, and you know, I look and I'm like, I wouldn't trade anything for the peace I have within me.
That's it. That's exactly right. And you know, and we can talk about the star children, we can talk about the evolution of the planet, and it's all relevant. But what's more relevant, what for me at the moment, and for the people around me, is that they feel that heaven within.
Yeah.
You know, that wherever they are is a place they need to. So the expression is, wherever you are is a place you need to be. Give up the struggle.
Yeah, your own Eden.
Yeah, that's it.
Whatever it is, it's never going to look the same to everyone.
Oh.
No, it's not meant to.
And I get like students saying to me, "Oh, well, you know, how do you find peace?" I said, "Well, it's very easy. Just imagine someone's has a gun to your head, and has pulled the trigger. It's about to release and blow your brains out. Believe me,
You find peace.
You will find peace. It's the quickest way to know. You know, the threat of death or fear should put you into, here I am, I'm alive. And I know I've been through 2 wars in my life, you know, and I keep going on about that crap, but I've been through, and because I'm more of an idiot than my students, so I needed that lesson more, because I needed to learn it, that wherever I am is a place I need to be, give up the struggle. And so that's really my teaching. All this other stuff about the Babas of old, and the witches of old, and the pagans of old, and all of that, that was then, this is now. And God bless all of that, but it's not relevant. What's relevant, and for me also religion's not relevant. Mm-hmm. What's relevant is your own life. You are your own religion. Yeah. We are the gods that we're looking for.
Your own light. Yeah.
Yes. People go, well, you know, I love this, I love that plant and not that one. I love this person and not this thing. And this is what I love and this is what I don't love. And my answer or question about that is, what's not to love? Yeah. You know, why do we prefer one thing as to another? Maybe if I prefer, you know, I like the Ford Mustang 1973 car, but that's just me. You know, what's wrong with other models? What's wrong with anything? Why is it so specific? Then I have to see that through the filter of my own experience, I have preferences. And if I lose the filters, or if I lose that, or I am aware that it's just my experience, the possibilities of loving everything, appreciating everything where it is, suddenly is open. It's like other worlds open up.
Well, it's like when people, like your phone or a car, for instance, yeah. when you have something that's always worked for you, that's where your love of something comes in. Right. And it will be the fear of trying something else and then not living up to that expectation.
Right.
Is where I think that comes into play.
Yes.
Where if people will go, well, that worked for me, but I'm willing to try something else, because that aspect of opening yourself up and not putting yourself in a confined box, well, then could be something even greater. But if you don't drop your barriers, then you're never going to find out, are you?
Right, exactly. Yeah. And that self-limiting thing, I think that's the thing I'm frightened of. Or I have fear, or caution, if you like, maybe not fear, but caution, because I go, well, what have I limited myself to? Why have I only got my perception is only this.
But we're limitless.
That's right.
Yeah, so anything's possible.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing you can't do.
Yes.
It's only if you allow other people's perspectives to seep into your reality,
Yes.
or you allow outside influences to tell you what you can and you can't do.
Right.
I mean, I think, like, just on my spiritual pathway, if I was to listen to a majority of people that have told me I can't do such and such because I've not trained, or
Oh, yes.
blah, I've not done this, I've not done that, I wouldn't be where I am now.
Right.
So as soon as you let go of everybody else's perception and your own, and just allow yourself to just flow.
That's right.
Because it's saying, like, as one door closes, another one opens.
Yes.
And why are we allowing one door to shut anyway? Why do we not just allow the floodgates to open,
Right.
and just allow ourselves just to flow?
And what's terrifying? What in you or what in myself is terrified about those endless possibilities? There's something very secure about limits. The
unknown excites me.
I agree with you, but once you catch that bug, or that concept or that growth, which is the rose opening. I mean, the chick inside of the egg is very secure. The chick has everything that the chick needs. It's got food, it's got nourishment, it's got everything it needs, and security. It's a dangerous world out there. It's got the shell, but unless it breaks the shell and breaks that security, it's never going to grow. No. And that's what's interesting. And also, if you open up a chick's egg before it's ready, it's stunted the growth. It's deformed. So you can't force somebody. Say, well, people don't get this spiritually or or intellectually. It's not their time.
Do you think, though, a majority of life is set on foundations? You think fear?
Yeah.
Fear is you get from a child. You think if as your own children, I mean, they climb up something high and about to jump off, what's the first thing you do? Don't do that.
Right.
So that installs a fear. So no, and it's not a fear that isn't intentional, that you want to harm someone.
Right.
You've set that fear because of your fear of them hurting themselves through love.
Right.
So you've set that, but that will stay there.
Right.
So that's like like a catalyst for the rest of your life.
Yes.
If you don't do well at school, you're never going to have a job.
Oh.
And it's ongoing.
Yes.
If you don't do this, you'll never have that.
Right.
And you install that into your children without even realising that. That's quite harmful.
Yes, it is.
As us own souls. And it's not,
Yes.
but it's not done through a place of harming them. It's done through a place that you don't want anything to happen to them because you love them so much.
Sure.
But also, what that's done is that unconditional love that you have, you're strangling another soul.
That's right.
So you can give, like we were talking about, love on all different aspects. So when you love somebody else, you could love somebody to the detriment of somebody else and the fact that you've lost yourself.
Yes.
So it's very, I think it's very important to see, I don't believe you should limit yourself, but also there should be boundaries of self. So making sure you put yourself first.
Yes.
So don't boundary yourself in your limitations, which almost sounds contradictory in a way.
I understand.
But I think we need to self-preservation to allow ourselves to grow.
Right.
But also in any relationship we have, whether it be work, friendship, relationship, anything that comes in, parent relationship with a child, there always has to be, and it's taken me a long time to realise that. I'm being an empath and someone that's unconditional love is everything and always has been.
Right.
To me, I could suffocate somebody with it without even realising it, because you just want the best for someone.
Yes.
So it's realising that if you then flip that around and give that unconditional love for you, then you're then got that flow. So when work balance life 50-50, so you don't give them everything because they'll take it.
Right.
So, and that's no different in a relationship and a friendship. If you give and the other person is a taker,
Yeah.
they're going to accept all of that, but then they'll also become smothered by it.
Right.
But also, while you're giving them 100%, you're giving you nothing,
Right.
and you're not
That's
giving
right.
them any room to give you anything back.
Totally right. But and then you say, well, where does that behavior come from? And you'll 9 times out of 10 you'll find it's been inherited.
Yeah, through
Yeah.
long time back, not necessarily what you have done now. I found that in a lot of clearings that I've been doing
Sure.
within people of late. We're clearing a lot of karmic, ancestral stuff,
Sure.
not necessarily your own lifetimes back, but family lifetimes
Right.
back. When you think
God,
you
yeah.
think of the eras that we've come through, you think back when a man was in charge of the house, so like a woman
Right.
would be seen and not heard, like children. So you think how far that's changed, and that in itself brought about an inferior. So you
Yes.
wouldn't be allowed to speak your piece. You knew your place.
Right.
So
Yeah.
you know that has even come through to the point of where you can be in an abusive relationship because you don't feel like you can stand up and you can be heard.
Yes.
And although it's weakened over the time, that's there, and it's still carrying on through.
It's still absolutely, and I think that's where we, through consciousness, we find the right balance between, male and female, or whatever your sexuality may be, whatever your polarity is, and whatever it is, you go, well, spirituality for me, or if you like, conscious awakening, is to go, I am what I am,
Yeah.
whatever that is, whatever you want to call it, I don't really care. And I feel happy with that. That's the way it is, But what I find very interesting is how very quickly others hold you in a certain place. So they see you in I grew up in a Jewish household, and there were Levites, so priests, and there was a real concept about that at one point. My father broke away from that, obviously, but still it was there, it overhung us. And then, I grew up, with a certain condition to my family and who my father was and all of that. And then I broke away from that. And then I, got into yoga, and then there was a concept about being a yogi and how you appear and what you wear and what you talk about. And that felt very good for me to break that as well, because it's just like, well,
Challenges.
yeah, let's
Yeah.
mess with this a little bit. And then there were people like Salvador Dali and Picasso, and I fell in love with them because they were always breaking concepts. They smashed them. It was like, and they did what was not expected. And Nikola Tesla and all these, Einstein, they smashed concepts. And I thought, now that's frontier stuff.
That's what we're here for.
Yes, that's right.
We're not here to be limited.
Right.
We are a limited.
Right.
We are an unlimited source of supply. Yeah, unlimited in everything. So why is it we feel that we can't push those boundaries and it's not acceptable? There is so much of us that we're still not even aware of or know that we hold within us.
Yeah.
When we tap back and we go into past lives and stuff like that, depending what you're going back for, I mean, whenever I've gone back, it's for things to be clearer for this lifetime for me. I mean, I had an interesting one a little while ago where I went back to my very, very first birth into this human form. Not this one, but my very ever first birth.
Right.
And it was the most traumatic thing I think I could
Wow.
ever remember. And it took me a while to get over that, but what I realised is I was releasing things from I can't even think of how many lifetimes ago that was, but it was amazing because how sitting here now, how you don't remember what it was like to come into this world.
No. Right. That's right.
And we take that for granted. You look at a child and it fascinates us the fact that when you look at a baby or a toddler and the zest for life they have, just looking at everything for the first time, they find their hands, when they find their feet,
I know.
and their nose and their ear, and then they start looking at you, and that's beautiful. They're seeing everything. So for us to strip everything back and look at life and truly look at it like we're looking at it for the first time.
Right.
And to see the beauty in everything.
Yes.
I mean, to step outside and like to really pay attention, like the beautiful surrounding we're in at the moment.
Right.
Just looking at the veins in the leaves,
Yes.
and how the sun's bouncing off of them, and the
Right.
colours in the flowers
Ah.
and the petals, and just I think we get so swept up in the ideology. Oh, speak your words out, yeah.
Ideology.
Yeah, ideology of what we think the concept of it
Yeah.
is, rather than just being present and allowing.
No, that's
And it's like you were saying about love. What does it mean? For everybody, it will mean something different.
Of course.
And you can be in love with everything, but for all different reasons.
Right.
But the most powerful love you'll have is for yourself. And you can love your children in a way, and your grandchildren and your partner, but all of those will never be as powerful as the love you have for yourself. Because when you flip that back on you, and then you see all your relationships and everything around you change because of how much love you have for yourself.
Yes.
And trouble is, people tend to give it out and will fall in love with everything else but themselves, and they're still not happy.
That's right. They're
Because
looking-
they've not found their self.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. This thing about looking for love, and you are love. Everybody's looking for love, and you say, well, what do you think is going on right now? There's a process going on. Your liver's in love with your heart's in love with your bowels, your kidneys are in love with your throat. Everything's in love, cooperating, and you don't know how it's going on. You go, I need to find love.
Because they're working from their head space and not their heart
Right,
space. Yeah.
right.
So that's not in conjunction, is it?
Right.
Everything else is working in harmony.
Yes.
Because it needs one to the other, and your body realises that.
Right.
But your head still thinks it's in control.
Yeah.
But not being funny, your brain can die and your body can still live.
Yes.
Your body can't live without your heart.
That's exactly right. No, I go to classes sometimes. I teach these big classes, and I go, and I said, what we're going to do, we're going to start the seminar by going, let's cut our own heads off. So you can't see your head, you just see the body. If you cut off and just notice how this body is functioning, you pay big attention to small things, small attention to big things, and just notice how there's an itch and you scratch it. You feel comfortable, you need to move your hips a little. The body is talking, but because we pay attention to Trikonasana or Vishwamitrasana or some other ridiculous yogic position, you don't notice the very simple thing of going on in the body. And if you just stop and notice it and just breathe into it, there's a great love that rises. It's a very beautiful thing. And then what's interesting is that because of that, nature, things, animals, children, other things around you, it's like it conspires to acknowledge that state you're in. It's very funny. You go, a lovely thing happened to me today.
Yeah.
You go, because you just noticed yourself.
Well, you could sit on this seat, couldn't you, and be
Yeah.
on a crappy day
Right.
and look around and not see anything. The next day, or like 2 hours later,
Right.
be in your heart space, sit out here and just see the beauty in absolutely everything. But you didn't see that few hours beforehand when your energy was sitting in your backside instead of in your heart.
It's true. I mean, I do this thing every day when I go to my garden first thing in the morning, and preferably, in the dawn, and I sit with my feet on the ground, on the mother, and do my meditation, go into my space, and then I like to do like a workout, my asanas and blah blah blah, breathing, and then I'll do like a little vocal practice some time in the day, and I got all these phone calls I need to do, and unless I do that, I'm beside myself with disappointment. And my learning has been, you don't have to do any of that, and you can do it if you want, and to give myself a break, because I know I have a neurosis. Everybody has their thing. Mine is there's a sort of type of neurosis for doing my practice, my meditation, my contemplation, and seeing that and unraveling the boundaries that hold it in a vice-like grip. So I let go of my fiendish grip on life. It's like, I will do this life, you know. Live the life, David, rather than trying to do it all
See, I've always, my whole life, I am no good at structure.
the time. Okay.
Never have been.
Okay.
I'm the worst. I was
I need
saying
to learn from
earlier
you.
on, the worst person to probably do any form of business or relationship with. I do feel for poor Dylan, but in the aspect that I'm happy to flow, and I've always been like that.
Amazing.
I don't like expectations.
Right.
They're just too pressure and too.
Sure.
Because when you put an expectation on something, you then allow your brain to start
Yes.
predicting the outcome of it. So then you're not in your heart space to enjoy it.
Yeah.
You're then putting pressure on yourself. And if it then doesn't turn out, then in your head, it was a bad date, it was a bad relationship, it was a bad job choice, it was,
Right.
a bad encounter. When actually, if you stayed in your heart space, you got everything out of it that you were meant to.
Yeah.
And you actually enjoyed the process, the good and the
True.
bad bits of it.
How do we, as a species, how do we propagate our appreciation of life every day?
That's why when people have their most enlightening moments is when they've been through their darkest moments.
Yes. The threat of death or termination is close. People actually live.
Yeah.
But the great con that's taken us for thousands of years on this planet has been that everything is limited and everything has to be fought for.